All right, we are live. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool and Jonathan. Today we're going to be having a little fun with our marketing. We always have fun, but we're going to have a little fun with the title. So we called this show "How to Use Love Triangles in Marketing Copy."
Yeah.
And then I put on the ticker below the YouTube video, AKA "This summer I turned into a marketer." So if you're at all familiar, and I don't know how you couldn't be, I guess if you're older, you may not be up on it, but if you haven't heard about the kind of phenomenon of The Summer I Turned Pretty, the book that turned into a series, like, you know, all the young women are watching it and their moms and their boyfriends. Like, it's a pretty, there's parties going on. It's a pretty big thing. And in the center of it is a love triangle, one girl, two guys, two brothers.
Right.
And, it's a classic. I was talking with Ben, our friend Ben, about it. It just came up we were talking movies and different things. So this idea of the love triangle came up. It's been done in Twilight. It's been done in, other movies throughout time, Casablanca. It's even in Ayn Rand. I mean, Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. There's a little love triangle going on in there, which to me is just weird for the type of book it is. But,
Isn't there one in Pride and Prejudice? I mean, like,
they're all over the place.
They're all over. Yeah. I mean, it's like, goes back to, this is not anything new.
No. So I was wondering, like, what's going on that makes these things so sticky?
Yeah.
Like, and how do, people get so caught up in it and they, it's team this, team that. So I was like, is there something there in marketing, and what would that look like? And do people already do it? What would it sound like? Can we do it more intentionally? So that's what we're going to talk about on the show today. Is like how to create love triangles in your marketing copy.
Love that. Good title.
So let's create a little love triangle here with our beverages. I guess that's about as good a segue as I could get on that.
Good enough. Good enough.
I mean, it's not really a triangle. It's a square. There's two of us and two beers, so I guess it's a square. But I might be jealous of yours, I don't know. So
yeah, you may be. I don't know. We'll see. I think this is one that I've had on the show, but it is a single or seasonal.
Okay.
It's not a single, but it is a I was going to say Smashing Pumpkins, like the band, but this is a Smash Pumpkin from Shipyard Brewing Company.
That does sound familiar, but I think I had a Smashed Pumpkin as well, but it wasn't from Shipyard. So
yeah, this is a pumpkin ale. It is 9%. 9%.
Yeah. Imperial pumpkin ale.
Imperial pumpkin ale.
So
big bodied beer with pleasing aroma of pumpkin and nutmeg, pale ale, wheat, and light Munich malts combined with the natural tannin and pumpkin and delicate spices of sapphire and Hallertau. So I know I've had this one before because I think I remember this copy. So
remember you couldn't read it then either.
Yeah, I couldn't read it then either. So but anyway, this is it. It's a appropriate for this time of year. Here we are in October. All things pumpkin and spice and everything nice.
Yeah, big bodied beers make the world go round.
That's right.
Isn't that what the song says?
I like big beers. I cannot lie.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I had a little thing. I had, one left over in my 4-pack. Didn't want to bring that back onto the show. So I told Tamara, I was like, can you take this to work and like swap out a beer in the beer fridge? Because I don't feel like going to the store.
Sure.
So yesterday I left it completely up to her. I was like, I don't care if it's an IPA, whatever, just
whatever,
like switch it out. So I was a little nervous, but luckily she brought home a Brooklyn Brown Ale.
All right.
Brooklyn Brewery.
Good selection.
And I'd say Brooklyn Brewery. Yeah. Brooklyn Brewery is probably the first like craft beer brewery that, 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the first craft breweries that I really tried, and I don't think it was this one. I think it was the one in the blue can that they had.
Right.
And just the the difference between that and, you know, your mainstream beers was just like, I was like, oh my God, like this is so much better. But I remember it was a Brooklyn Brewery beer. And I think it might have been a Brooklyn, the stout that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, kind of going, you know, way back on
So
there.
did she know that when
No,
she picked
no,
this one out? She did not know this.
she did not know that. So
Wow, good for
she
her.
has no interest whatsoever in my beers. I have tried to get her to taste a few, and she's like, they all taste like beer.
But she knows you. She doesn't have to know
Yes,
beer. She knows
right.
you and what
She
you
does
would
know that I
like.
don't like IPAs typically.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a Brooklyn Brown Ale. It's only 5.6%.
Mhm.
You know, it's very much like a Newcastle, kind of in
Yeah.
that category,
Oh, okay.
which is one of my go-tos for a while. When we were at members
I
at
haven't
Fox
had a
Den Country.
Newcastle in forever.
Yeah, when we were at Fox Den Country Club, that
Uh-huh.
was like my go-to there. That was like
Really?
the best, you know, craft beer they had, which was not many. So you know, everything was Miller Lite and
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm sure they had deals with those
Of course.
as a golf course. But yeah, so the only thing you could get that was even remotely dark was a Newcastle, maybe a Guinness.
Newcastle.
You could get Guinness too, I think, but
Yeah.
sometimes Guinness is just too heavy.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, so brown ale, you've got an Imperial Pumpkin Ale.
Yep.
Did you hold that up for the color?
Yeah, look at that. Look at that beauty.
Yeah, it's got that orangey pumpkin.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Pumpkin and spice. I've already had a few sips. I started early, so
right. Well, let's cheers it
yeah.
up anyway, and then we'll give
Yeah.
it a quick rating, and we'll carry on. So,
all right. Cheers
to love triangles.
to love triangles.
Not if
Those,
you're married.
I think those makes me think of The Bachelor. You know,
Yeah.
the show used to. I think it's lost a little bit of the edge, but man, that thing was like.
Well, now they got the Golden Bachelor, which has kind of revived the series.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because now you got the older
Yep.
crowd
Yep.
tuned in
Yep.
and like
That's
all that
right.
stuff. What would that be called? That's a love. What's it called? One of those
That's
that has like multiple sides to it. A
and
poly,
a isosceles, or let's see, that would be an octagon.
at least, yeah.
Yeah, it would be more than that.
It's a polygon of some type, right?
Yeah.
So it's a polygon of some kind. So usually 12 women. So I guess the polygon shrinks as the show
Sure.
goes on.
Yeah.
So yeah, not for me, man. That's I can't imagine. That just seems like of all the ways in the world that you could choose a partner, that just seems like the worst. Putting you
national
TV,
everything on TV, you know.
Yeah, that just seems. I don't understand why people put
everything's embellished and overdone in every way, and then you got to live with the consequences after. You know, the after effects. So
and you don't have a say in the editing.
No,
you know, and how that affects everybody involved. So yeah, it's crazy. So
I've never seen a stat on the percentage of relationships that last after these shows, but I'm sure it's very, very low.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's a pretty easy stat to find if we looked it up. But yeah. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 5 pints, what do you give your Smashing Pumpkin Ale?
I'm gonna give it a man. It's a little too spicy for my liking, so I'm gonna go 3.8. 3.8.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm after talking up Brooklyn Brewery, I'm actually a little disappointed in this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Just kind of okay.
Yeah.
You know, not great. It's definitely got some. I think that's maltiness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tasting.
Yeah.
So yeah, not my favorite.
Yeah.
So it says caramel in there, but you know, geez, whatever.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, I've got.
Have you ever had? I know we've talked about this before, but this spice reminds me of whenever they do this to beer, it reminds me of like people up in. You've had Skyline Chili before, right? Up in Ohio.
Yeah.
And you know, people that call that chili is kind of funny because I have friends that live up there and they swear by it, and it's a staple. You know, you live up there, it's like everybody loves Skyline Chili if you're a native. You know, especially of that, I guess, southern part of Ohio, that Cincinnati area, because that's their thing. But honestly, I can tell you that that stuff makes me want to gag.
Yeah.
Just because it ain't chili, man. I mean,
Yeah.
for
Well,
two guys, one, we live in Texas and Tennessee, man. That is not chili.
well, what's
Compared to
crazy here in Texas is chili does not have beans in Texas.
that's interesting because
Yeah,
I would
they
have,
will die on that hill here in Texas.
never.
If
Right.
native Texans are like, chili does not have beans. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I guess I won't be a
No
permanent
kidney
resident.
beans whatsoever. I mean,
Not
that's
no beans of any kind.
no beans at all.
Which is weird because of such Tex-Mex culture. You'd think there'd be
Right.
some
Absolutely.
beans in here, but
Yeah.
no, yeah, they're adamant about no beans in chili.
None.
Just add extra beef.
Yeah. Extra beef. I mean,
That I can get behind, but
Oh,
the no
absolutely.
beans, I'm like, I don't know,
probably
it's-
more peppers, like spicier pepper.
Yeah,
I guess a little more
mean, there's-
chili and pepper.
the only rule is like no beans. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I mean, depending on which
Wow.
part of Texas or who's making it, the spice level is going to be all over the place. But
Right.
yeah, that was the weirdest thing when I came here. Is like no beans in the chili.
That is interesting. I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Yeah. So I'm
Wow.
more. I like it. I like mine with beans. Have to admit,
I do too.
a little more filling.
Love some kidney beans and some. We put a little deer. Deer. We put a little venison in ours.
Yes.
I mean, we stock up the freezer. With some
Game it up a
venison.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
But
Yeah, so we'll do a recipe show here pretty soon for our listeners.
I could go all day on chilies, man, especially this time of year because I just love.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things in the fall and moving into the winter is just make a big pot of chili on a Saturday. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. So, well, let's talk about love triangles in marketing.
All
We'll
right.
see how long this goes, but got a few different points. But yeah, we were, I was just talking with Ben, and it's just like most of the hit shows or movies that are kind of romancy, or even a lot of the series, TV shows. There's just this kind of love triangle. It's not the whole plot, but it's like in The Summer I Turned Pretty. It's the whole plot, right? It's the love triangle.
Mm-hmm.
But in a lot of stuff, even it's kind of there in the background. So
yeah.
But Twilight, like I said, Casablanca,
mm-hmm.
and it creates this emotional tug of war between the main character.
Yeah.
And I think what it does is, as a viewer, it kind of keeps you off balance.
Yeah.
Which keeps you interested,
mm-hmm.
right? I think I remember
kind of that push and pull type dynamic,
Yeah, and they're just like, which way is this going? I'm not real sure, And
right.
I remember a long time ago, Michael Masterson, Mark Ford,
mm-hmm.
he wrote about this idea called the categorical imperative, which was if people can tell where you're going, they will tune out. Or if they think, not even if they can tell, if they think they can tell
right
where you're going.
Too predictable.
So if it's too predictable, or even if it seems too obvious or predictable. Mm-hmm. So if they think you're writing about, let's say you're talking about the greatest little marketing trick ever and it's Facebook ads.
Yeah.
If you just come out and say it and that market is tired of Facebook ads,
mm-hmm.
and as soon as they can kind of figure out that you're talking about Facebook ads or paid ads or whatever,
they're
going to check out.
Yep.
So you have to kind of hide the mystery of it
mm-hmm.
as long as you can until you can build your case up enough that, oh, by the way, this is Facebook ads. And by then you're like, oh, I never saw Facebook ads like that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's tough to do that if you just come out with it.
Yep.
So I think that's what's going on here is that it creates this tension for the reader, for the viewer,
mm-hmm.
that keeps people interested longer.
Yeah.
And the longer you're interested, the more invested you get. We got the sunk fallacy cost.
Absolutely.
The sunk fallacy idea, like sunk cost fallacy, which
Yep.
basically says the more time or money or energy,
the
more you're likely to just kind of follow through that consistency and commitment.
Yeah.
That stuff.
It's like sitting through a movie for, an hour, over an hour. And at that point, nothing is, you're truly invested. So the likelihood that you're going to get up and walk out is pretty minimal. You're going to stay through the end because you've.
Well, you even start telling yourself stories. You're like, well, surely
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody
You've
came up with
convinced
something
yourself.
good. Like there's got to be a turn at
Gotta
some
get
point.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it never does,
Yeah.
we've all sat through those movies.
Yeah. But I do like I think when we talked to John a couple of weeks ago, the copywriter, the guy
Yeah.
who talked about, he wrote the book on con men, and I forgot the name of his title, but it was
Yeah, that catchy title he had.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure he was, and we talked about this. He's a bit of a movie buff himself, and we talked about that throughout any good drama. There's a bit of tension going on, right, with the characters. I mean, this one, what we're talking about, is more of a love tension than anything, but it happens through, horror genres and all sorts of things with with the killer on the loose, and is something about to happen and it doesn't, and nothing happens, and it's like you're always left on edge pretty much. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here with the love triangles, that you're sucked in because you don't know which way things will go, throughout the drama as it plays out.
Yeah, so let's unpack that a little bit. So you think about, in romance, if you've got two people that you're kind of deciding between or going back and forth between,
Yep.
There's this conflicted desire in that main character, right? So what's going on? Like, why is there a conflicted desire? Well, it's usually because the two love interests are very different.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a part of you that likes, the safety and the steadiness of this one character, but the other side likes maybe the naughtiness, the bad boy.
That's right. He's the wild
card,
one,
the adventurous one, or maybe the one that's going to show you the world, and the other one's the hometown boy.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the classic Hallmark movie kind of has that going too, right? It's like the girl comes from the city, so does she take the big adventurous lifestyle in the city, or does she take the hometown hunk, with the good values?
And it's just like Titanic. Remember Titanic, where on the ship, where they completely embellished this whole story of the Titanic, into a love story. But I mean, it sucked a lot. I mean, I've forgot how much that movie grossed, but it's one of the all-time biggest grossing movies ever. And yeah, I mean, same thing. There's two guys. There's Jack, the guy that's the stowaway, that's wild, and the artist. He's
wrong side of the tracks.
Yep.
Naughty
kid.
Yeah.
And then you've got this guy on the other side who is comes from a very affluent family. Who's very refined, and the person that she's supposed to be with.
Right.
But there's obviously this love triangle happening. So.
Yeah. So here's the question then, I guess, like, which side of that triangle do you put your product on? So if your product has to be one of those two things,
right, your
product is going to be one of those characters, and then your customer's current thing, current kind of whatever they're doing that doesn't involve your product, is the other character, right?
Yeah.
So, in some cases, you would write the story so that your product is the bold, adventurous, from the wrong side of the tracks, because that's what you want your product to be, right? Like, I don't know, Jeep came to mind. Like, if you wanted to market Jeep like this, right?
Absolutely.
It'd be the off-road, adventurous, get out of the city kind of thing.
Yeah.
Compared to the minivan, right?
the
Honda minivan. Yeah. Safe, practical, Toyota Camry, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And you see that with Jeep, like they don't do it that obviously, but so you have to, I think that's the first thing you have to do is, like, you got to figure out, like, which part of that does it fit on? Because at first I was thinking, like, your customer, maybe they're doing something, so let's use fitness as an example. If you want somebody to get in better shape, join a gym, then their current love interest might be Oreos and binge watching Netflix, and it's comfortable, it's cozy.
Sure.
even a little bit naughty. So it's kind of
Hmm.
the bad boy, right?
Yep.
And that's a hard thing to pull away from. So for
Yeah.
you to go to the more, better for you,
Hmm.
you're kind of you're saying, well, you'd have to be careful, because if you bill it as the gym is like the steady guy that's going to care for you, he's going to take care of you, but he's,
Yeah.
not just going to run you into the ground, kind of, like what
Sure.
I mean? But you could also bill it as like a new adventure.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you could do it as like, especially the rom-coms, right? Like,
Hmm.
instead of the slob, you meet the outgoing adventurous guy.
Right.
So that's probably the direction I'd go if I was trying to sell a gym
Oh yeah.
membership or gym
Yeah.
equipment. You could keep dating the slob that's never going to go anywhere,
Right.
just because he's convenient and he's there,
Hmm.
and he's there every time you come home from work and in the apartment sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And he's dependable and he's always there, but
Right.
there's not really anything happening, right?
Yeah.
Or you can go to the gym,
Yep.
where you become a better version of yourself, you're transformed, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And
You become the Jack in the story, right? I mean,
exactly.
that's what. Yeah, and I think that's a good point. It depends on what your brand is, what you're marketing. But if you want to be the unpredictable, adventurous, brand, then you kind of compare yourself to the other, which is, as you said, the boring.
Yeah, because I
Uh,
mean, there's about a dozen archetypes, right? There's
yeah.
explorers, there's magicians, there's
Yep.
warriors, there's athletes. There's different, depending on which kind of graph you're looking at. There's all different types of archetypes that brands can play into. So you have to figure out which two archetypes. First of all, you figure out which archetype is your customer currently involved with,
Mhm.
most likely, right? So who's their current lover?
Yep.
Is it the slob? Is it the strong and steady?
Mhm.
You have to figure that out first, to know which way you want to go instead.
Right. What's a brand that comes to your mind, Sean, that you automatically think in commercials that you've seen? I know one pops into my head right away, and we've talked about it before. But the reason why we talked about it before is just because it was so good. Um, when they
Let's-
ran this, So the one that comes to mind for me is I'm a Mac and I'm a PC.
Yes.
Back in the day,
Yep.
those early days, those were so good.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably Apple's best ever marketing campaign. Back in what was that? The mid 2000s, when they were
Probably,
running
yeah.
those commercials where I'm a Mac and I'm a PC, and they had, here's this basically that, just exactly what we're talking about, the safe, steady,
Accountant.
dependable nerd.
Yeah. Or the fun, creative,
Yeah.
cool guy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, no, that's a great example. Yeah, and I agree. That's probably one of their best campaigns, because it's just so clear to see, like, oh, I'm settling for this when I could have that.
Right.
And that tension is like, people can relate to that, right?
Mhm.
Whereas if you just had the Mac guy coming on the screen and saying, hey, it's great, Macs are great, but there was no contrast.
Right.
And that's what I was thinking as I was talking to Ben and I was preparing for this episode. I was like, I don't think I do that enough, and I don't think a lot of companies do that enough in their copy and in their advertising, is to do that contrast. They might get into some pain, but they don't contrast the existing solution very well against the new solution.
Yeah.
They'll get into pain, but it's not a clear enough contrast, I think. And that's what made that series so effective.
And it painted a picture too. I mean, it put a vivid picture in your mind, like the PC, the guy that's dressed up in the suit all the time and stiff, and
khakis and tie and short sleeve dress shirt, like just the stereotype, overweight.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the casual cool guy, hip and t-shirt, jeans, just kind of casually.
It's like the accounting department versus the graphic design department.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
that kind of. I remember when I worked at one company. You go into the graphic design and the room's dark and they've got like lights hanging and string lights hanging and all everything's in dark mode.
Yeah.
And it just felt cool as soon as you walked in there. Then you go to accounting and it's just like bright and
Yep.
it's like,
Yep.
wow, this is even
Yeah.
the same company because it just feels very
Oh,
different. Yeah.
Yep.
So another one that came to mind was Dove when they launched their Real Beauty campaign. Now, whether you agree with it or not, it worked pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So the old lover is, looking good because that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Another example I saw when I was doing some research was L'Oreal. At one point, they said for a long time, makeup was about women looking good for men.
Right.
And L'Oreal came out with a slogan that says, because you're worth it.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was about self-empowerment and liking the way you look for yourself, not for somebody else, which is a great little spin on that,
Mm-hmm. Right.
But yeah, Dove was like, you don't need to be perfect. You need to be authentic.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever authentic is. So instead of like being trapped in the relationship where the guy expects you to be perfect, you go with the lover that makes you feel free and fun and loves you just as you are.
Sure.
It's what was
that's good.
Sleeping with the Enemy. You remember that old movie, Julia Roberts, and he was like super like
Boy, that was intense. That was a good movie.
Yeah, that's a classic there. That and same thing with what was the one where the guy was supposed to be dead and she kept seeing him because he wasn't really dead. It was more recent. Remember that one? Everybody thought she was crazy, and she's like, "No, I'm seeing my husband. He's here." Like, he was supposed to be dead, but he wasn't. But he was that same controlling. And I think that's what Dove was getting at. Like,
okay.
Don't be controlled by the narrative. Just be yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. And another one that came up was, are you familiar with Patagonia? And they're kind of you're an outdoorsy guy. Are you a Patagonia guy? Or?
I do. I have some jackets and pullovers. So yeah, so love their brand.
Yeah. And what's one of the big things they do that most brands don't do?
They do a lot of work with like eco-friendly type work, or I don't know. It's like environmental.
And you can send your stuff back and get it repaired.
Yeah. Yep.
If you ever tear it, or if the seams.
That is unique. Yeah. It doesn't matter how. I don't think there's. Is there a?
I don't think there's a limit. No. And GoRuck, I get my rucks from. They're the same way. They have a lifetime guarantee that if you wear out your shoulder pads or the stitching comes apart, you just send it back and they'll repair it.
Yeah.
And often replace, whatever needs to be replaced as part of the guarantee.
Right.
So that's kind of like, so for Patagonia, did you ever read the founder's biography on that? His autobiography?
No.
I think it's called Let My People Go Surfing.
Oh, nice.
Which is a great title, but I read that around the same time as I read Shoe Dog, and those are probably two of the best like business books I've ever read.
I love Shoe Dog. I did read that one.
It's very similar to that as far as the style of writing and everything else.
Yeah.
But one thing he talked about was, this idea of consumerism and fast fashion, the Temu of the world. This was before Temu when he wrote that book.
Sure.
And I don't know if you've seen that Netflix documentary. I think it's on Prime and some other places, but it's like the consumerism and like the amount of clothing that is created for fast fashion over the last 4 or 5 years is just staggering, like just crazy.
Yeah.
And most of it just gets thrown away or, donated to Salvation Army.
Goodwill or Salvation Army. Yeah.
So their message is like, don't be in love with the consumerism, the fast fashion, the materialism. Go for something that's long-term, steady, reliable. So it's almost like going from the dating scene to a steady relationship, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's kind of their
Which is
love
easier,
triangle.
a little bit easier for us guys, because you can wear a t-shirt and jeans, and
Yeah.
for the
Our
most
fashion
part,
doesn't change as fast for sure.
it'll last
They're,
for 10 years,
yeah. I mean,
20 years.
they've certainly tried recently to get men's fashion to change faster. And if you go,
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
the fashion ranks a little bit, I guess it changes a little bit faster, but
Sure.
the everyday person, yeah, I mean, you can wear the same Levi's you've been wearing for
Absolutely.
15 years,
Yep. They get
But yeah,
better with age.
yeah. So that, the big idea, like, how do you do this for yourself? Like, how do you, I don't know, maybe we just think of a couple examples. Like, if you think about your clients, I mean, you're in a very
Mhm.
kind of boring, plain niche,
Yeah. Yep.
commodities for the most part. Like, if you were to thinking about writing a direct mail letter, or and start thinking about this way, like, who would your customer be dating now, and who would your company or your offering, your service that you offer, be, if you were to kind of put archetypes on it?
So I compete against a lot of larger brands, in my niche.
Mm-hmm.
So typically well-known, big, large, chemical or industrial brands. Like,
Yeah.
I won't mention names specifically,
Yeah.
but so that would be like, names people are familiar with, like big industrial names people would be familiar with, and so those would be, and so
That'd be
you know,
like the girl bringing home the the frat boy who's in med school or law school,
right.
like got all the right
All the right, comes
degrees.
from the right up, the right background, the right upbringing, has the money, the wealth behind
Yeah.
him, everything. And then I'm coming in with,
Comes
you
James
know,
Dean.
yeah, coming in, just saying, okay, I'm going to rock the boat a little bit, but the one thing that the big brands, the big well-known brands that people are used to, that might sometimes buy from the competition, is also that what also comes along with that is aspects that they have to settle, right? They have to settle for what they are, what they have. Whereas if you're a smaller brand, I guess more of the James Dean type guy, can be the guy that comes in and say, we're going to do things different, and we can tweak, and we can be flexible, and we can, customize to your liking, because
Yeah, we can hop on the
faster.
motorcycle and go to California if you want,
We can move faster, baby.
Yeah, and
Whereas, that's the thing. The big brands take a lot. The bigger they are, the slower they are. When it comes to shifting.
yeah, you're
For
gonna stay in, you're gonna graduate from, University of Alabama. You're gonna move over to Birmingham. You're gonna get
yep,
a corporate job. You're gonna
that's right.
raise a family. You're gonna
Yeah,
go to Gulf Shores every year for vacation,
yeah,
and that's your life. Like, that's it. It's predictable. You know exactly
right.
what you're gonna get. And I know your people aren't really looking for excitement. In fact, they're probably looking for the opposite of excitement. So you have to
But they,
show a
they
more
they do like aspects of the slow.
adaptability.
Yeah, the flexibility and the ability to adapt or customize quickly for
Yeah,
your needs. So, whereas bigger brands aren't able to do that, they're kind of like they slow pivot.
yeah.
Whereas,
They have their process. The process has made them
absolutely, it
billions
has
of
to go through.
dollars,
Yeah,
so they're not going to change anything, right?
right, right.
Yeah,
Whereas I can pivot on a dime. I can come in and say, "You want this? I can make this happen for you
yeah,
if you're willing to move in that direction." But I'm not going to do it, without a commitment, obviously.
right. Yeah, yeah. So I think what's cool is, if you start thinking about your copy or your sales relationships, and you think of it more like a screenplay,
Hmm.
and you really start thinking about casting characters
Yeah,
for your situation, I think it can really shed some different light on how you might communicate to your customers.
right.
So, basically, every ad's just a love story in disguise.
Yep.
That's the truth. Like, so
No, this is a great reminder, you know,
yeah,
because as you mentioned, you can incorporate this into anything, just like, you know, just thinking this out in my industry, but you could apply it to your own industry. I don't care if you're, you know, selling insurance or, you know, real estate or whatever, you know,
yeah.
there's a way
And
to contrast.
yeah, and I think that's the key thing is there's got to be that tension between a desire.
Yeah.
So, you know, if a girl's just out and she doesn't have a current love interest, then there's nothing to compare and contrast the guy that comes up at the bar and asks her for a number or whatever,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
She's just kind of like maybe interested, maybe not, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But if she's kind of a little bit bored or a little bit whatever with her current, and then this flashy person comes up or whatever the contrast is,
Right.
that's much more likely to create some tension
Yeah.
for them, right?
Yep.
And by the way, we've been saying one girl, two guys, just because that's the summer I turned pretty kind of
Sure.
the line, and that's usually what you see in these love triangles. But it could be the opposite as well.
Of course.
It could be one guy and two girls.
Two girls. Yeah.
Which I know there's been some shows like that. I just you know, where
Yep.
that happens as well. So, so yeah, I think, you know, I think the big takeaway here for me when I was thinking about this is I've got to do a better job in copy,
Mm-hmm.
and messaging to contrast the two instead of just either talking about pain and the new option.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about what they're currently into. Like
Right.
there's a part of them that really loves what they've got currently.
Yeah.
At some level.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Even if it's not quite right, you know, even if, you know, there's a, you know, the guy's a slob, but there's something, you know, relatable and comfortable about him.
Right. Yeah.
You can't just dismiss that and say, this is better.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So you have to slowly introduce that tension,
mm-hmm.
and create the fantasy of what could be.
Yep.
And kind of what you're missing out on, you know? So,
well, there's brands, I've seen brands do this, you know, you go back to the clothing and you see ads, like there some, you know, companies out there that, like you say, I mean, they'll showcase the contrast between, you know, the guy that's wearing the slouchy, you know, if it's, there's one brand out there in the clothing market that, you know, that uses the contrast of the, you know, the slob and the t-shirt and sweatpants and,
mm-hmm.
you know, and it's always 2 sizes big, you know, and it's, you know, he doesn't care. And then, you know, the switch to where he is wearing something more fitted, something more tailored,
yeah,
you know, something that looks better. And his girlfriend, you know, or his wife or his girlfriend is the one that's, you know, the key, you know, she's kind of the one that's like making that switch between the two, right?
Yeah.
There's two, it's kind of a contrast between slob or, you know, tailored, good looking guy. And it's like two guys that look similar, but they're just dressed like completely different.
Yeah.
You know, and it's amazing what, you know, clothing can do for a person, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's what the message is.
You know, another thing that just popped in my mind who does this pretty well is cleaning supply companies.
That's right.
You think about Swiffer. They do like the Swiffer brand of products does this really well. They talk about the mop and just kind of how it's sloppy and it's dirty and it's cumbersome.
Right.
And then they whip out the Swiffer and it's like super easy to use. It just glides across the floor.
Yeah. You just push it around, you know?
Yeah. And the same thing for their, you know, their duster. It's like the feather duster, you know, it like spreads dust everywhere. It's messy. Like it does the job.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not great. This one traps dust and they show the before and after, you know, and so that's another way that's a little love triangle, right? It's like you've got your thing that's dependable. You've been using it for years, the mop and the bucket. I mean, it works, but is it as easy and effortless as you want it to be? No. Check out our new lover over here, the Swiffer. Like, you know, if you really start thinking about it, you'll see it in a lot of places. How this little dynamic plays out. And I think, cleaning products are a good place that does that pretty well. Yeah. A lot of those big brands that have the money to, you know, really think about this stuff.
Yeah.
even though it's not direct response, the branding guys have a good handle on this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it
So
sucks us in, man, because
yeah,
it's going back to that contrast and that tension,
yeah,
between you.
yeah.
So
It's like, ooh, yeah, that would be nicer. I don't want to
yeah.
spend an hour mopping when I could spend
Yep.
10 minutes Swiffering, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very different. And then you can, you know, Stanley Steamer could come in and be like, that Swiffer's not really getting your floors as clean as they could be. Look at all these
Sure.
germs that are here
Yep.
hiding under the, in the rug. Or so you could always take it up another level, right?
Hmm.
So kind of always make the grass greener,
Right.
kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other brands come to mind before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I'm thinking like you go into invest and the investing
Mm,
sector where you're looking at like traditional versus, people that want to put their money into something that's more exciting,
trading, yeah.
trading. Yeah,
Invest versus trade,
absolutely.
yeah. And
So
then there's
there's the Warren, the Warren Buffett approach, and then there's
the
the
trader
which
approach.
has been slow and steady, wins the race. He's done very well for himself, but sometimes that's not as fun and exciting. That's a
Well, it's even
long.
like, I think betting is big right now. With the
Oh yeah, yeah.
DraftKings and all these brands that are out there, and they talk a lot about betting and winning money, but I don't think they do a good job of the
Mm,
contrast, right?
right.
So I think the contrast there, and you tell me, like, I don't do that at all. I know you do a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I do a little
And
side betting.
I think I've heard you say this, or I've heard somebody else say it. The thrill of that is the difference between just being a spectator and kind of being involved in what's happening on the field.
Bingo, bingo. Yeah,
That's the
absolutely.
rush.
Yep,
It's not
it's
the
the rush
money.
because
The money
games
is
that
kind
you
of the
don't.
consequence.
Yeah, you're absolutely involved in a meaningless game. You can find yourself in a game that you have no interest whatsoever normally. That
Right.
when you put a little money on the line,
Yeah, you put
it's
5, 10, 15 bucks on it, 25
yeah,
bucks. It's like all of a
changes
sudden it's like,
completely.
oh,
Yep.
I got to find out how this ends. Right. So I could see like like you could see an ad campaign where there's like just the guy sitting on his couch watching the
Yeah.
sports and he's not that interested. And, the tagline might be something like, be part of the game or be in the game or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Like, don't just watch the game,
Hmm.
be into the game or something,
Right.
something like that. That's
Yep.
terrible copy right now, but you could see that contrast, right?
Oh,
Just the
absolutely.
laid back spectator versus the guy that's on the edge of his seat, really enjoying sports. Maybe
Yeah.
that's it. Like, enjoy sports again,
Yeah.
or feel sports. I wouldn't even say enjoy. I'd probably
It
say
does give
feel.
give you a little bit of a rush too with
Yeah,
it's on the
it's an
edge.
adrenaline. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Because a
it
lot of these
literally
games are
increases
right
the
on the
feeling,
edge. These point spreads. I don't know
especially now.
how Vegas does it when they come out with these lines, but they're incredibly on par
Accurate.
most of the
Yeah.
time. I mean, it's amazing how accurate sometimes they get on these point spreads or how close to it they get. Um, whether you're on one side or the other, you come out with the line of 3.5 and a game ends at 4 point differential. It's like, whoa, how did this happen?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it does suck you in to being just a casual observer or someone who might not even tune into a particular game. And I think that's been a huge uptick in the viewership of not only college but NFL, is that
Yeah.
people who have no interest in certain teams are now involved because of either one of two things. They're either involved in betting or they're involved in fantasy,
Yeah.
which
Fantasy
I don't do,
leagues.
the fantasy leagues, which I don't I don't do that stuff because it's just
Yeah.
too time consuming. But
Yeah. That's kind of
um,
a 20s and 30s crowd, I think, that does
yeah,
that,
yep,
or corporate. If you're in a
yeah,
corporate
more, yeah,
office,
corporate do a lot of that stuff.
it kind of takes the place of the old pools that we used to have
Yeah,
at offices, where you
yep,
just fill out the
yep,
card and pick
yeah,
a score type thing.
exactly.
So yeah, there's a lot of places you can use this where you can really up the feeling
Hmm.
in between it, instead of it just being facts and logic. It's just another way to insert feeling into the marketing.
Yep.
That tension, that desire, and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the big thing. Like, just start treating your marketing like a love triangle, and add a little friction in there and tension, and see what happens.
I like it. It's getting my brain turning in even as we speak, and some of the things that I need to be doing, in my sales copy that I'm sending out to customers. So, yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good takeaway.
Yeah, you could make tons of emails where you could basically turn a customer case study into a little love triangle story.
Right.
So and so is feeling this way with their current, partner, vendor. So the vendor becomes the old lover. You're the new vendor. You're the new lover. Right. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you could do with that.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Yeah.
I might have to share this with our friend Bill, and he can write a few emails on it and see how it comes out.
Yeah.
So
no, it's good.
All right.
Well, good deal. That's it for our episode. You can find us, as always. You can find all of our episodes, 409, over at persuasionbythepint.com. Also on your favorite podcast platforms, whether you're listening through Apple, Spotify, whatever way you check us out. While you're there, leave us 5 stars, and appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See ya.
See ya.